This is a podcast from the Angel News Network with author Joel Anastasi interviewing Ashtar, commander of the Galactic Federation of Light, as channeled by Philip Elton Collins.
Greetings, beloved people of the Earth. I am Captain Ashtar of the Galactic Federation of Light, coming with an essential message for all the people of the Earth, even though for many of you it will seem unbelievable perhaps. As many know, the Galactic Federation is very active as the old systems die before the eyes of the Earth's populace. The Galactic Federation reconfirms that the life forces are assisting your ascension like never before. We work with many planetary, universal, and galactic forces to assist you at all times. You're entering a higher state of awakening, what we have called We the People, if that sounds familiar. A We the People era. No matter how things may appear in your current events and world at this time. The non-believers and the citizens of the unconscious Earth populace are now transmuting towards the first stage of awakening. And this is a good thing. This is step one. For many, this will be traumatic, and they will inevitably experience what has been called the dark night of the soul. You may have heard this expression. This is a necessary process to clear and cleanse the very deep, dense layers of programming and false beliefs. Remember, you are residing in the densest frequency within the universal plane, and things are running rampant at this time. Your 2020 American election was used to become the biggest transmission force of change in universal history. That's a very large statement, isn't it? That your 2020 election was a force that affected not only your planet, your solar system, and your galaxy, but the universal history as well. The whole universe has been watching, and your planet as well, of course, as the old systems are being dismantled. Corruption is surfacing at a rapid speed. This is what has been called the final battle, and the victory of light is at hand. That victory will be at hand when you are ready, dear people of the Earth. Current events have been carefully planned and executed, knowing that everything is a divine soul plan. As increased cooperation between we, the forces of light, and the Earth have been taking place. We ask you to listen to such things as the Angel News Network Current Events Broadcasting, which will give you a perfect perspective on where you are at within your density and where we are at in a higher perspective. Beloved Earth beings, only a landslide of this magnitude that is happening now in your world is powerful enough not only to shake up the forces of ascension, but to further wake up those who, in your vernacular, have been asleep. The events thus far within your year 2022 have forced many to reevaluate their belief systems as you look at current events. The political situation in the United States alone is the culmination of events that will bring the victory of light over darkness. And that has been the destiny and the purpose of the United States of America in any case. This, in a way, marks the death of a corrupt system that does not honor the planet Earth, and certainly does not honor all life upon the planet. Things are hitting bottom, aren't they, dear ones? You're now entering what has been called the golden age of Gaia at a rapid pace. You are entering a golden age of Gaia at a rapid pace, whether you know it or not. Don't engage in political discussions with those who still cling to ignorant programming that would drag you down and further lower your frequency, but not be a good use of your energy, beloved Earth people. At this point, things are being revealed through your current events and the happenings in your daily lives quicker and quicker. Humans cannot control what they did not create, and you did not create this world, but we of the light will ultimately be in control. Now, you're asked to help by maintaining your frequency and clinging and holding on to the vision of freedom, love, peace, harmony, equality that many of you have been taught. The revelations of truth is rather right near you. All of the darkness is coming up into the light, and many will be devastated and feel confused, somewhat lost, and even in your vernacular, stopped in their tracks. But remember, their darkness will allow you to know the light, for you can only fully know the light, remember, by knowing the darkness. They are twins of one another. The programming is severe, and the people on the earth identify with some misbeliefs. As these beliefs begin to dissolve, these individuals may become confused, not knowing who they are, certainly, and not knowing why they are here. So we remind you in all of your teachings, you must remember who you are and why you are here. That's why you have been taught over the many years this metaphysical wisdom. This is where we need you to hold the light in one another as well as ourselves. You're the ones who have chosen this assignment. It was part of your soul plan, or you wouldn't even be receiving this now. This is why you are awake. This is why you are enlightened. So you can be the teacher souls, the warriors of light, the spiritual seekers, the bearers of light, if you will, so that your fellow earth beings can follow what you have to teach if they resonate with it and they discern with it. Remember, to know the light, you must become the light. To know the light, you must become the light. Many will start coming to you and asking for truth, for support, for spiritual scientific truth, and compassion for where they are within their personal and professional stressful times. We want to assure you that we of the higher realms see and appreciate all of the hard work you have been putting into raising your vibration, your frequency, in combination with the planets. And the collective consciousness being created is really ready to receive the higher light codes now. We continue to employ and send to the earth huge mega photon light beams. These codes carry a frequency designed to allow the transition with as much grace and ease as possible as the individual can assume and integrate. For those of you, most of who are listening to this and resonating with it, who already have been in an awakening process, please know these codes will activate your soul plans faster and faster on an accelerated path of your ascension process, moving from the 3D, from the 4th D, to the 5th dimensions of ascension. The official dismantling of the old paradigm has begun as the Cabal leaders reveal themselves, become visible, and fall in their own quagmires and demise. You will forget, dear ones, all of the difficulties you had to endure, and you will experience harmony, balance, and love just what you've been waiting for. It is like the mother who goes through a long pregnancy, a painful birth, and when the child is handed to her as it separates from her body, no longer experiences or remembers the pain of that experience. The mission of being love in your world, and that is the mission of your planet, to be love, to learn love, is abundant in your world and will be returned and reinforced within you as part of your ascension process. You know this is your divine destiny. This is your destiny to become love, the building block of all creation. Beloved Earth beings, know that we of the Galactic Federation of Light love you. We're here for you. We've never not been here for you. You have never, ever been alone. So in effect, this is the victory of light over darkness and the arrival of this new era of the glorious Gaia. Now let us process these truths now mentioned through a Q&A and a question. How may I help you?
Captain Ashtar, thank you so much for joining us today and for that beautiful message of hope for the 4th of July, 2022.
Exactly. A reminder why this country was created, the United States of America, as you have taught and written about, to be a beacon of light for the world. That is the message, is it not?
When you say that America is a beacon of light for the world, just give us a statement about what that means.
It is the intention. It's why the higher realms came together, inspiring your founding fathers and mothers to create this planet through something called love, something called equality, something called freedom, and inspired documents put together unlike any documents that had ever been written in the history of humanity to be those things. Are they here in completion? No. Are they within process through their promise? Yes.
You made a very powerful statement when you said that we were entering the we the people era. Of course, the United States is founded on the idea of we the people. So could you connect the meaning of we the people and the founding of America and that we're entering a we the people era?
It's about we consciousness, which is a collective consciousness that joins all the souls of creation once they wake up, particularly on this particular planet. And the documents created through the founding of the country reflect that truth. Does that help you?
It does. You know, there was such a hopeful statement that you made, that dismantling of the old paradigm has begun, because, as you're well aware, we are experiencing some really grim stuff in America. Certainly the 2020 American election, which you described as the biggest attempt of a coup in universal history. What a powerful statement that was.
Can you see the collaboration involved in that? Can you see we of the higher realms working with you as those events perhaps were even orchestrated in order to take place? And trust and surrender in that truth, that it is a loving universe.
Well, you know, when you say that the dismantling of the old paradigm has begun as the cabal leaders become visible, we're having so many events going on now that would cloud that understanding. So that's a hopeful indication. You know, we're
Dear one, would it cloud it or would it further reveal it?
It's being revealed, I realize, and in the process of having it revealed, we are seeing events that many people are finding very scary, because it's threatening our democracy, not only here in America, but of course with the invasion of Ukraine by the Soviet Union, and China threatening Taiwan with the same rhetoric about bringing, realigning, bringing together China in as Putin has been trying to bring together the Soviet Union. That's all scary stuff. So we're seeing those events and not seeing the larger picture that you've just described that it is indicating.
Just perhaps the democracy needed to be threatened. Often truth needs to be threatened, to be further reinforced. It is a time of strengthening the principles of democracy, of we the people, by the people, for the people. And without the threat of it, it can be picked and pulled apart. Do you understand?
Yes.
So see what is happening is what you would call in language something to threaten it, is something to send forces of healing into it in order to ensure it. Does that make sense?
It does. You mentioned that the powerful light forces are coming to help this process of entering the golden age. Explain a little bit of that to us.
Well, it begins with an understanding of what light is, doesn't it?
Yes.
And in effect, you're all condensed energy. We all are. And light is an important part of that. And light is a very high frequency of energy of creation. And the counterpart of that is darkness. But as I mentioned earlier, they are twin brothers of one another, this darkness and this light. And to accept that and to know one allows the other, they work in combination, and within the density of this frequency, this 3D frequency of emotions, creating thoughts, creating words, creating actions, you need that balance of the twin brothers of dark and light in order to reassure the light. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, and you referred to some things that we can be doing to kind of support what the divine realms are doing to raise collective consciousness. One of the things I took notes on was you said to maintain our frequencies. What can we do to do that?
By first waking up to what's going on, having the foundation of knowing who you are, what is your soul plan, and why you are here, and how you're bringing your innate talents and gifts out into the world. Those are all things that would move the individual into the collective consciousness. The individual becoming conscious, awaking, if you will, knowing who they are and why they're here, collecting and resonating and discerning with others of the same, building a collective consciousness. And through that collective consciousness, it is a mighty tool, a mighty weapon, if you will, of change, realizing that change is all there is.
I also took notes on something that I thought was important too. You said you urged us to hold the vision of freedom, equality. Let's talk about that, because that's something else we can be doing.
Well, to know what they are. Those are the principles of the founding of the United States of America, are they not? On this 4th of July, 2022. What a wonderful time to remember what is freedom, what is equality, what is harmony, what is balance that is so sorely missing within the separation in the world today. The task at hand is to heal the separation. The task at hand is to see your diversified versions of one another. You are each other in disguise, and begin to see that and to honor that. But you are all expressions from the same source, which is love.
Well, one of the reasons why I focus on the idea of holding the vision of freedom and equality and harmony and balance is because I've heard so many expressions of fear and concern on the part of people who feel as though our democracy is being threatened from inside like they've never seen before.
What is the one foundation of all of those elements? Equality, harmony, freedom, balance. What is the one foundation, the one energetic foundation of all of that?
Well, of course, it's love.
Yes. Which is the mission of the planet, is why the planet has been called a love-aversity. To learn what love is, to learn how to be love. Exactly.
One of the reasons why I'm focusing on that statement that you made is because I've heard friends of mine and other people talk about leaving the country because they are afraid that it no longer it's holding to its founding principles. And that was the last thing to do. We have to lend strength to the assistance we're getting from the higher realms, not run from it.
They will take themselves to the new location. And if their self is remiss in the elements we're talking about, they will simply recreate them wherever they relocate. So moving from one point to the other, knowing that you're taking yourself and all that the self contains to the new location is not necessarily the solution. To stand in place in where you are and to heal that and radiate that out and find like souls and like minds to join in a collective consciousness, there's the power of change.
It is. You've been talking about the fact that so many things are being revealed. Of course, we're having the hearings from the House of Representatives, and it's been one revelation after the other. So what you're describing is, in fact, happening right before our eyes on television week after week.
And where is that reveal coming from largely?
Well, it's coming from the feminine energies, is my perspective.
Exactly. Assisting and balancing the feminine and the masculine energy in this dense frequency. For without that balance, you cannot evolve. And remember, the planet will ascend with or without humanity. The imbalance of the masculine and feminine energy is the cause of all of your bias, all of your separation, all of your prejudice. If that can come into full equatic balance, much of those outlays of that imbalance will dissipate.
You know, I thought it was really interesting. Within the past several days, Liz Cheney, who is one of the people heading this investigation of the House, in a speech mentioned that men are running the world and the revelations are happening from the feminine. She mentioned all the young women who are coming to her, making observations about what they're seeing in front of their eyes, and she made the observation that men are running the world and they're not doing a very good job, are they?
They're not running it as much as they have in the past. If you look at your statistics, there are more women in leadership roles and part of international governments than ever before. There are more premiers and presidents that are women. There are more women currently running for office. There are more women in elected offices and appointed offices. In fact, you've just had another woman of diversity put into your highest court.
Yes. Could you make an observation about how Russia, who is launching this horrendous war against Ukraine, and the threats that are coming out of China about invading Taiwan, how they're fitting into this whole picture of the cabal and the controls of the few over the many?
That is the toxic masculinity in a control, powerful position, and usurping others and forcing that over. But through that process, it can be, and most likely will be, the demise of that type of individual and that type of regime by the whole world viewing it in real time is exactly what is taking place. So, in a way, it is a gift to humanity on many levels. One, to reveal toxic masculinity, which is still at play in many governments. And secondly, to know that war no longer works, and that killing divine souls or allowing them to sacrifice their souls for that truth needs to no longer become possible. It is upon, and we are putting this pressure on your United Nations at this time, to truly enforce the illegality of war. And whenever war becomes a reality, that organization needs to have the power and the thrust to stop it in its tracks.
You know, that issue of toxic masculinity can be brought home to us in our own world here in the United States. I'm thinking of the fact that like 98% of the people who have caused these mass murders with these assault weapons have been men, and the refusal of the Supreme Court to control guns in any way at all, but they're certainly willing to control women's bodies. It's a real dilemma as to how that concept of toxic masculinity invades our very the very structure of our life here in America.
The women of your nation are the largest populace and voting bloc, if you will. It is up to them, if they so choose within their divine soul plans, to rise up and say enough is enough. There have been other countries, such in West Africa, where the women became organized and rose up and stopped civil war, stopped killing. If you are the feminine energy and you have the capacity within your body to recreate life, it gives you another perspective on reality and decisions you would make. So it is up to the women of the world. They are beginning an opportunity now, through many other civil rights being taken away from them, to realize they are not in an equal situation. And to ask the question, are there any laws controlling men's bodies? And of course the answer is no. For them to stand up and to say enough is enough. It is now within the hearts and the hands of the women of the United States of America and the world, once and for all, to stand up for true equality, harmony, and balance. We urge that taking place.
And of course, one key way to stand up and take back their power is to vote.
Exactly. To vote. To also let know ahead of the voting their displeasure with the decisions that are being made. The irony of all of this is that none of this really represents the will and the choice of we the people. So whenever you set up laws or change laws that go against that current, you're asking for disaster in the future. All the things that we predicated in our introduction are true, even though they may be unbelievable to many. But all of those things are taking place, and you are seeing them bit by bit, not only within the United States of America, but all over the world. It is moving forward. It is destined and designed to move forward with the support of we of the higher realms. That is all taking place. We cannot interfere with your free will and choice. So it is up to you. We can simply remind you of the purpose of your planet, of the purpose of your lives, and I'll allow you to make better choices.
Captain Ashtar, before I ask you to make a final statement, although you've covered so many things so beautifully, many people do not have an understanding who will be listening to this of what the Galactic Federation of Light is and who you are. So could you just tell us a little bit about what is the mission of the Galactic Federation of Light, and who are you and what is your mission?
There are many higher realm organizations, not only within the interior of your Earth, but within your solar system, within your galactic, within your galaxy, and there are representatives of other galaxies, and then there are universal councils. We are higher realms that all come together to review the evolution of creation. We of the Galactic Federation are principally located within the galaxy that this planet represents within. We study and monitor the evolution of every planet within it, and there are billions of them, with various life forms upon them. We are currently focusing on the Earth and are speaking to you because of its mission to be a representation of love, which is the building block of all creation. Not every planet comes together within that. As you know, 12 star systems came together to seed this planet, to perpetuate the reality of a planet to represent love for all of creation. And that is the purpose of this planet. So we study here, we work with inner earth, we work with the archangelic realms, we work with other star realms within the evolution of creation. Does that help you?
Yes, and just a brief statement, and your responsibility in all this is what?
I am one of the leaders within the Galactic Federation. I head councils that interface with all the other organizations that I have mentioned.
You know, because a lot of people are going to be thinking this, I'm going to bring it up and face it straight on. This is going to sound like a lot of Star Wars stuff to a lot of people. How would you respond to that?
Those that resonate and are ready to know what is being said will assimilate it. But remember, with your fiction such as Star Wars, the irony of all of that is that it is based upon truth. The reason that people really resonate with science fiction is because it holds hope and a promise of something better, of something beyond the reality that they are living in. That is what science fiction is all about. So as we begin to take our leave, I ask you to realize that behind all science fiction is truth.
Captain Ashtar, this has been such a wonderful discussion of hope. Do you have any final statement you'd like to make before we end?
Remember how self-empowered each one of you individually are, that you are a divine soul having this human spirit experience. Remember that you are an eternal being of light, and that when you leave your physical bodies, you return to that light. So I ask each of you who are listening to this, how would you like your light to be demonstrated in the world right now?
Thank you, Captain Ashtar.
You're welcome.